More Volatus updates. So this one is going to be for GUI tooling. So anybody that's watched any of the previous videos, this is built on no-code GUIs. These are, in fact, if we look at the context help, in the description has the configuration, what channel they link to, what the type of the code that handles it, and some other stuff that might be present for some of the different controls. And this has been really flexible as far as configuring GUIs and getting GUIs created quickly. The operators, test technicians that have been working with this system don't really have much complaints on the configuration side. However, the layout and initial creation is definitely a bit fiddly. And I always be sure to give that warning anytime I'm training somebody. But the problem with these is these controls, as we can see in the context help here, are multiple elements inside of a cluster. And for a quick recap, typically there'll be a library with some organized elements in it, and there's some default starter description that they can then get rid of the optional parts after the blank line, and then fill in and tweak any of the configuration they need to. Some of the controls I've implemented have code that will pull appearance from configuration instead of leaving it at whatever it's configured at. But for the most part, I usually just get rid of that. Previously, this is going to change now, and style it in the editor. So when I am working with the actual GUI, I can see what it'll look like at runtime. But this is prone to getting messed up. If you're a little sloppy with your mouse cursor, you can accidentally drag out inner parts of that cluster, which would then completely break how it's supposed to operate and how the code under the hood looks for the nested cluster elements to do all of the stuff it does. So I did discover that you can lock the inner elements of a cluster, and as long as you can still find the invisible 1 pixel border of the outer cluster, you can still move it around. You can still operate on it. However, what you lose the ability to do is right-click and bring up properties or anything like that. You can change text, you can change the value, but anything you need to go into a property window, you lose the ability to access. So you do lose the ability to break things by dragging the wrong part out, and operators have done that with a control and then used the control that they broke to copy and paste and create other controls, and sometimes that can be a little bit tricky to debug and of course is just annoying to fix. So answer number one is I'm going to stick with leaving the inner contents locked, because that gives me the nice functionality of less chance of breaking it. You do still have to find the 1 pixel border to be able to grab it and move it around, but as long as you can't accidentally drag one of the contents out, that's less fiddly. But how do I still let operators tweak colors and things like that? So I've been working on GUI editing tooling. This runs in a development environment. Once this is ready, I'll be installing it on test technicians and operators as like a tools menu entry, more than likely. Make it easy to access. But I can go ahead and run this. And this is going to serve two purposes. One as sort of insertion palette. If you're familiar with test stand, you get the insertion palette on the left. You can drag steps into your test sequences. But this shows all of the elements that are available in the open project. There is a bit of an abstraction here. So there's this interface, which is entirely meant just to provide the paths for the control files that are available. So one of the things I'm always striving for is making sure I can add in additional layers of the applications. Of course, I've got this open source. All of the core code for this framework is open source. but there's going to be a lot of stuff I do at my job that I can't have open source, and we're going to have our own internal private repos, and I need to be able to combine, specific GUI elements I'm doing for work with the stuff that comes open source, and I want to enable that as streamlined as possible. So the basic idea is you could create a child class of this interface, implement the control paths, generate the list of whatever control files that new library of elements is supposed to provide, and then this tool will automatically find those. So it just has to be added to the project that you're working in to edit the GUIs, and it'll all automatically work. The other thing, so making it so I don't have to maintain source of truth for these descriptions and what categories these show up in. It's really nice to have this organization here. But if I had to maintain separate VIs that kept track of this organization and link back to the paths that the controls exist at and what their names are, that would be kind of a maintenance nightmare. So these are all defined strictly by VI properties. So the VI for the control file has the description. So this is what will show up in this description text box is the text part. And then in square brackets, you put a colon delimited list of whatever you want your organization hierarchy to be. So you can see that there's button control and checkbox Boolean. If we check checkbox Boolean's properties, it's going to have that same heading in there. And then, of course, something in a different category has a different one. So this as I make new control files, I don't have to worry about remembering to update things in like 3 different places. The one possibility is if I do have a private library or an additional library that does do a little bit more than just report all of the control files in a single directory, that would need to get updated for it. So 2 places, relatively low-hanging fruit to maintain that. And of course, the other option is just list all the control files in a folder. If you only have your GUI elements, your GUI controls in that folder, and you don't have any other control files in that folder, this is the recommended route. Making it just automatically work. So I don't have the drag and drop implemented. There is already functionality in LabVIEW, and I've played with this before, but there's already functionality in LabVIEW to insert controls and nodes and things from palettes onto the cursor as if they had been selected from a palette or as if they're a control file or a VI getting dragged in from a project. I just haven't done all the drag drop functionality for this list yet, but we can see that it does show the description, shows your preview of what that is, so you don't have to go into the project and open it up, look at it, go, yeah, is this what I want? I don't know. Now, these are just static images showing whatever state these controls are in. So if we look at this logging control, it's just that static image. It's actually a picture box. So I can't manipulate it here, but you can at least go, oh yeah, that's the thing I'm looking for. Now, ideally, I'd get the functionality implemented so you can drag and drop and use this as an insertion palette. But what I do have implemented is property editing for these button controls. So I can pick these, and we can see a panel specific to what I want to be easily editable for button controls is available here. Now I will be adding some other stuff for making it easy to adjust the size and all of the inner components maintain their proper offsets and padding and all of that. So that'll be coming in here eventually as well. But I can pick these, and we can see the preview is now updating to these specific instances. And I could do stuff like change the colors. I don't like the bright green, I want a little bit of darker green. So it does change the state to the button to be able to quickly see If I'm changing the true state or the false state, it'll switch to that so I can immediately see the change I made. I could change the text. And yeah, just make it as easy as possible for operators to update their GUIs. And then this is a text box. One of the things I'm going to have it do is you could load in the system's configuration file, so the vJSON files that I've covered in previous videos, but basically just a big JSON file that describes an entire test system and all the distributed embedded nodes, all the I/O, all the modules that are running, all that fun stuff is in there. So the idea is, if you load that file, now this GUI editor is going to know all of the I/O channels, all of the software variables, all of the digital control parameters that will be available, and this is implemented as autocomplete, which I don't have configured loaded. I don't have that completely hooked in yet. But if we look at the block diagram, I have this reusable component that I attach to this string, and if there were options available, I'd get a little pop-up box down here that would show me options, and as I'm typing things in, I could get some autocomplete suggestions working in there. So that also removes, or at least lessens, almost completely eliminates the chance for operators and GUI editors to have typos for their channel names. Previously, you'd come into here, go into the description, and you'd have to type in the name or copy and paste the name, and that can be a bit fiddly. So the main goal here is just remove all of the fiddliness that I can and kind of just streamline all of it. So the idea is you'd open up, whatever GUI you're working on from whatever project is set up for the GUIs and source control, and anytime you want to create a new element, drag it from the available elements. I'll probably add a search up here as well to filter this list. There's all sorts of stuff I can do with this over time, but even just immediately being able to scroll through and go, yeah, I need a double numeric status indicator, which are these guys. Or I need to be able to change a numeric value parameter. And then I'll just keep fleshing out all of the different custom editor panels for these.